desk or the person that picks up the phone, and that's not necessarily the person that you want to talk to. That might be somebody who handles constituent calls, takes a message, and then logs it in the system or maybe delivers it to the rep. But if you call in, let's say you're calling on a medical marijuana issue, then a lot of times I just say, hi, I'm calling on a medical, health issue. Can you transfer me to or give me the name of the best staffer that advises on health policy? And I go from there. And so that could be like a legislative director. Those are important guys. Then you've got like your legislative analyst is probably below that. And then you've got your chief of staff, who's obviously a very important person to get a relationship with. You could have, who are the other people in like typical titles? Yeah. So I would just say, like, don't necessarily get stuck with the person answering the phone. If there's like a higher level body that's advising on that policy issue, you can feel free to call them and then say like, oh, well, do you have time for me to come in and meet with you or with the rep? And I would start trying to meet with your rep right now when they're not in office instead of in office.
Because a lot of them are probably in their home districts, right?
Correct, yeah. So then you'd call the district director as their home person.
So if you do call, get an appointment with your legislature, how do you make a good first impression on them, and also kind of on the other side of the table, what's going through their heads that we would need to be aware of?
Well, marijuana, they're already gonna just be like, oh, marijuana, why do I want to talk about marijuana? It's a lose-lose for me. This is mainly Republicans. Like, I find the Democrats are a lot more open on this, but Republicans might just be automatically closed off. So I'm not even sure. I kind of just don't let them be. I don't know. I just kind of keep chatting them up in a very cordial way, or like know what's important to them so that you can relate to them on some kind of way.
So do you do your research about them, know what committees they're on?
Yeah, like if you're gonna go into a meeting with a rep, typically how I start out is I say, like, this is who I am. This is just a little bit about myself, a little bit about RAMP. I volunteer with RAMP. This is what we care about. We support. These are the bills we're working on, and let me just talk you through a few of the finer points of these specific bills. And and then think of questions that you want to ask them. Don't just walk out of there without asking them anything. So kind of write down what you want to know from them and kind of pointed questions from them. So and then at an appointment. And then don't take too much of their time. If they give you an appointment, take like a half hour.
That's good advice. This is like the Zoe Russell advice column, by the way. Advice for activists here. Because one of the other questions is absolutely.
I just want to say something as a legislator. When we agree with you, get out. You know what I mean? Don't oversell it. If you already have them saying yes. I had about 8 people, and every nurse wanted to talk about the pros, and I said, I'm with you, I'm going to file the bill. But you have to understand that, no, you have to understand, I'm with you, I'm going to file the bill. I can file the bill if you all get out. Yes, absolutely. You know what I mean? Because we will build that relationship, and I will call you, and I will ask you to be a witness. Do you know what I mean? And that will be your opportunity to convince those that are not convinced. So if they're with you already, move on and you tell them, who can I work on? And then, you go from there.
Great, thank you. That's great advice.
On some of this stuff, I bet a lot of the people in DFW NORML are pretty darn active, but on some of this stuff, it can be confusing to know a little bit about the personality of these legislators. So I am open to people who want to email me or call me and ask me, like, hey, what about, Kyle Cacao? How did he vote on this? Or, what do you know about him? Who do we know in his district? Maybe I can find a good RAMP person that can accompany you to a meeting so that you don't have to leave the meeting or something like that. So it can be intimidating, but it gets easier over time. But that's what all of these groups are here for, is to help you cross that bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. If any of you out there are interested in talking to your representative and don't want to do it by yourself, please ask anybody you see on this stage, anybody in Normal, anybody in Rand. People are here to help you.
And this is my last, I made up a little write-up of, a little legislative write-up of what happened this session, and on the top I have the Republican yay and nay votes on Bill SB 339, the oil bill, so that kind of shows you some of our allies there and some of our antagonists. And then under, when David Simpson did the PTSD amendment, we did have some Republican yay votes, so those are probably our strongest Republican people, and it's on the sheet. This sheet is on that table over there. I have 90 copies or so over there, so I hope I have enough, but if I don't, I'll put business cards over there, and we also have Rand events coming up.
So we can share some of that information on the DFW NORML social media for you as well. And that segues nicely into the next question, which is around how to present yourself effectively on social media. I know a lot of us may or may not be able to travel to Austin once a session kicks off again, and a lot of us will use social media to talk about these things. So how should we effectively do that?
Yeah, I would let Representative Marquez say too what offices look at, but I think that offices look at Facebook pages. I think that offices look when you tag a representative and say something mean about them. I don't allow that stuff on my page. I don't allow my name to be tagged in insults of representatives. They work very hard, and I know that we can be mad at them, and some of them could be corrupt, and some of it could be, you know, politics. I'm not a huge fan of politics. I want to make government smaller, but they work really hard, and they have a lot of other issues on their minds, and I personally just would not put anything, I just try not to be negative. Even on Chairwoman Crownover, I don't see any benefit for me to be negative on her, me personally, but I'll pass it off to Representative Marquez.
You let me handle Myra. You guys go. And you what's right, because we in the legislature have an unspoken rule. You know, we can hold each other's bills, we can kill each other's bills. You let us handle that. But, you know, as far as social media, yes, be positive. You know, nobody wants to hear where's your head at, what are you thinking, where have you been? You know, we're people too, and we have tempers, some of us, and you don't want that to be your entrance, because we do remember. So when you come in and you meet with us, and our staffer will, somebody's looking at this stuff all the time, let me tell you. Not that they're not working, that's work, you know, but they're looking at it constantly, and then when you walk in, they recognize you. Oh, you're Kathleen Smith. Yeah, we saw your tech, and then they'll immediately come in and tell the chief of staff and us, Rep, this is who they are, this is what they were writing, you know what I mean? And then immediately your impression's already been made before you even walk in.
So social media can be the first impression.
It can, yeah, absolutely. So be very, very careful what you put up there. You never want to sound overzealous, that you're going to take up their time. You want to sound like you know what you're talking about, you're going to be, and then know something about us. Hey, we're human, you know? We're just like you. We like a cold beer. We like to go to Costco. I mean, tell me my hair looks nice or something. Don't just come in, hi, I'd like to talk to you about my, thank you. I'd like to talk to you about marijuana, and then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm having a great day, thank you, you know, calm down, people. It's, you know, we're regular people. Talk to us about things that are important to you, and then, you know, that's how part of that relationship building starts. And then we appreciate you more, like, oh, that way, you know, the legislators, when they see you in the pit, they're not scared you're gonna attack them. You know, if you come in and oh my God, that's a very nice white jacket that you're wearing, you know, you're like, okay, you know, but if you have that kind of soft approach, then when I'm walking out in the pit and I see the pit, oh, the pit's like right outside of the chambers. So, you know, nobody can go into the chambers except for the members. But you can wait outside in case somebody leaves to their office or goes somewhere else or to a committee. You can be there and you can wave them down. Well, it's a lot softer when I see Zoe and I say, hey, how are you? How's it going? Have you talked to anybody? I know she's not going to give me a spiel every single time. You know what I mean? It's a softer approach. I understand she's going to answer my questions. She's going to know what she's talking about. And I'll be able to say, hey, well, come over here and so-and-so's over here. Let's catch them before they go back into the floor. Do you know what I mean? So you know, calm down. we're good people for the most part, but and we want to help, but you know, and then you can get a little aggressive as it steps up and say, I need an answer, I want to know where you are. Because if you're a no, that's okay, but I need to move on to somebody else.
But you have to build that relationship.
And trust.
And trust. Last question, Zoe. Okay, so campaign season, it's going to be here before we know it. What should we be doing during campaign season to help further the cause?
Something really easy. It doesn't take a lot of know-how or anything. You just call the campaigns that are close to you, and like I said, I can help people get connected to the campaigns that I think are low-hanging fruit or important to make an impression on, and just be a body that block walks and phone banks. And if you don't want to block walk in this Texas heat, just go in and there's local offices for the Democratic Party or Republican Party, and go in and phone bank. I can't tell you, if we could have 3 dedicated kind of pro-marijuana campaign volunteers on every campaign, forming those relationships, it's a really big difference, because people are flaky and everyone's running at once and everyone's trying to get volunteers, so that's my biggest, yeah.
Thank you. So last but not least, we do have Barbara. How you doing, Barbara?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm too good.
Hi, baby. It's my 3-year-old. I love you.
So, Barbara, as a cancer patient, do you want to talk about your experiences a little bit and how you feel the Texas medical system is adequately or not adequately equipped to fight cancers?
Sure.
Especially in comparison to the way a doctor in, say, Colorado would approach things.
All right, I'll start with my experience. When I was 31 years old on my birthday, I was diagnosed with stage 3 invasive breast cancer. And I had a 1.5-year-old and a 4.5-year-old at the time, and I was completely terrified because I thought I was gonna die. Well, I went through 4 months initially of chemotherapy, and I thought it was over, but when I had my double mastectomy surgery, they found out that it had spread in multiple spots into my blood vessels. So I redid chemotherapy a second time, 4 more months of that, so 8 months total chemotherapy. And after that, I went through 33 rounds of radiation, and I just finished that about 3 weeks ago. And so right now, as it stands, I am cancer-free.
All right.
So I'll touch a bit on my experiences and how it would differ from Colorado. If I was a patient in Colorado, I would be able to legally access medical cannabis, but because I live in Texas, anything that I choose to do with marijuana in particular would be considered illegal. So it makes it a little tricky, because if I get found out, I could be arrested and put in jail for trying to make myself feel better, which isn't acceptable in my opinion.
Hell no! Hell no!
No. So I used it, I'll openly say it, I used it illegally the whole entire time I was going through cancer treatments. And it helped me. It helped me eat. I said this before, but I would sit in chemo and I would eat weird stuff like jambalaya, spicy food. And everyone would look at me strange and be like, how is she doing that? Because I had smoked right before I got in there, to be honest with you, because it made me feel better. I was prescribed so many different prescription pills, it's unreal. I recently made a list. Some of you are friends with me on Facebook, some of you aren't, but if you aren't, feel free to add me. But I made a list of all of the prescriptions I was prescribed, and it's unreal. In total, I mean, from the beginning, The amount of prescriptions, I would say upwards 50 of 60 different ones that they kept giving me. And nausea pills and opiates, and they gave me hydrocodones and fentanyl patches. Like what? No. So I didn't take them because I didn't want to get addicted to that kind of thing, and I felt like I was doing fine with the cannabis. So that's the difference between Texas and Colorado, because in Colorado I wouldn't be considered a criminal.
So chemo, 50 or 60 different prescriptions.
Yeah, I was actually given 7 different chemo drugs.
How much have you spent?
The total cost of my cancer treatment in Texas was $1.4 million. And that is from start to finish, and not including my reconstruction that I will have this year. And if I lived in Colorado and I had a medical cannabis card, I would not be spending $1.4 million. So you know what that means for me and my family is I'm gonna have to file bankruptcy. You know, I'm in my early 30s, I got 2 kids to take care of, and it is forcing me in the poorhouse.
Because they made a weed illegal.
Exactly.
I don't know about the rest of you all, but this makes me very angry. You may not be able to tell it, but it really just makes me mad.
It's immoral.
$300,000 a year for every person that gets diagnosed with cancer.
Every single time I sat in the chemo chair, it was $70,000. $70,000 once a week for almost 9 months, and that doesn't include the surgery cost. I've had, like I said, I had a double mastectomy, and I also had another surgery to have a port implanted in my chest, and the radiation cost, and all the prescriptions, $1.4 million. Yeah, you're telling me.
So, Barbara, I know there are other patients out there today, and I know that some of them that may be here or may be watching on YouTube or see this later are still in the cannabis closet. What advice would you have for patients that are in the cannabis closet?
My advice is that you need to stand up, make your voice heard, because the longer you stay in the closet, the longer Prohibition will succeed, and they're winning. So we need to stand up and say, look, this is not okay. This is not okay, and this is how I feel. And eventually, they will hear us. They will have no choice but to hear everybody roar. You see what I'm saying?
If you are concerned about the confidentiality, like, you're identifying information, you can go to your representative and say, I'm gonna talk to you about something that's very personal, confidential to me. Do you mind keeping it, confidential? And a lot of times they will absolutely do that, because I don't think that any of these reps are writing press releases about the people that visited them about marijuana. So that's what I tell doctors. Sometimes it's hard for me to twist the arms of doctors to get them to do this because it's their profession. And I'm like, nobody's going to be, calling the media about you coming into their office about marijuana. So you don't necessarily have to go as far as Barbara has. She's a hero. But you can have, there's varying levels.
Thank you.
Yes.
That is so weird. Well, I'm not afraid. I've said it on the national news. I've said it. Anybody who wants to talk to me about it, I've been very open about it, because I feel like it's my life, and, other people in my situation who need to hear this, who need to feel better.
That's right. Thank you.
So we've been talking a lot about Colorado, and you recently made a trip up there. So could you tell us a little bit about what you experienced while you were up there, kind of the difference that being legal makes, and also any advice you would have for somebody thinking about making a patient trip to Colorado?
Okay. So yes, I recently went to Colorado, and the trip in all was pretty awesome, actually. I got there and I met with this really great older man who was like, hey, I'm a grower. You know, why don't you come on over? Here, look at my greenhouse. I was in awe. I walked in and I was like, are you kidding me? This is legal right now? It was amazing. Everybody there is just totally supportive, and it's different than here because I talk to a lot of people who are for it, but then I talk to a lot of people who aren't for it. But there it's like a whole nother world. And as far as what happened on the way back, I had an incident. I was riding with someone else who I went to Colorado with in their vehicle. And we got pulled over on the way back, and the vehicle was searched, and they found cannabis products in a lockbox under the driver's seat of the car. Mind you, it was not my truck. I did not have the keys. It was not my lockbox, and I was in the back seat of the car. And I am now facing charges because of that. So what I would say, and my advice is, if you do go to Colorado, please, whatever you do not knowingly bring anything back. And if you were to travel with anyone else, do not come over that state line with marijuana because it's not worth it. You can get it here, surprisingly, and be a lot more discreet about it. But they're looking for people, so I mean, I wouldn't make it a habit of going there for product. Fair warning. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing your personal experience. You're welcome.
I have one final question for you. So, if something like whole plant were passed here in Texas, how would that make a difference for patients, cancer patients, epilepsy patients, other patients? What difference in the quality of life can that make for a patient if that were to be legal here?
Well, for one, I mean, look at me. Do I look sick right now? Because I've been dealing with this since May of 2014, and the differences it has made in my life has been tremendous. I have been able to take care of my children. I have been able to be active. I've been able to go to the Capitol. I have done things. I've carried on with my life. I've not laid in bed. I've not wasted away. I gained 25 pounds. I ate whatever I wanted. I never threw up, not one time, on 7 different chemo drugs, and I don't know many people who can say that. So the difference is tremendous. Is that all you got, Barbara? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this concludes our panel discussion for the day. Thank you, ladies, so much. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Okay, I'm gonna steal the mic one more time. So I'm modeling today this ramp shirt that we have. So if y'all want the shirt, it's on our website under the contribute link, and it's David Simpson. And so basically it goes to Chill Tees, which is a Houston shop, and the guy will put a ramp logo on the back for free and then donate ramp portion of the cost of the shirt.
All right, do we have my sound ready back there? Is that ready? Okay, 2 final things before we wrap this up. First off, when we first introduced this panel, there was talk of Dean Bortel and Alexis Bortel coming. And they had to, at the last minute, cancel for a reason I'm not going to disclose. They're going to talk about it here pretty soon. But they sent us an MP3 that they wanted to play at this event from Alexis, a message for DFW NORML. Do you guys want to hear it? Yeah! All right, go ahead and play it, please.
Hello, DFW NORML. It has been a long time since I got to talk to you, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there today. I want you all to know that I am 115 days seizure-free today, and on August 4th, I will be throwing out the opening pitch at the Colorado Springs Sky Sox game. I would love to see some of my Texas family there. I think about Texas and all my friends and family every day. I miss you, but because of the CBD-only bill, I can't move home. I have a new weekly podcast coming out for the American Medical Refugees starting in late August. Please watch teamalexis.org for details, as it is going to be really fun, and finally, we patients will have a voice. I would love to have every one of you as a guest because DFW NORML is the first large group I ever spoke to, and I will never forget it. Before I go, I want to say thank you to Representative Marquez. My dad told me you are not going to be in government next year, and that makes me really sad. I know you tried to help us all patients this year, and I just wanted to say thank you. Finally, I wanted to say to my DFW NORML family, the next time you march in Dallas, there will be a Team Alexis booth. But if you are there and you see a little bigger girl than you remember, and swear to yourself, hey, that's Alexis, well, maybe it is. I'm only a 2-hour plane ride away, so anything's possible. Our fight is not over. It has just started, and I will not hide. Thank you.